We've got minutes, and you should have received minutes from June 8th, June 13th, and June 14th, and I hope everybody's had a chance to look over those. And if so, I think we can handle all these in one motion, unless somebody tells me we can't.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Schaefer.
Second.
Mr. Jernigan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We'll jump right into budget amendments. We've got a general fund budget transfer for fire and rescue. They're all the budget.
All under number 2, and then eventually under 2.
Chief Farley, welcome.
Good evening. Have a budget amendment. I want to move $40,000 out of their salaries and wages to part-time help, 169.
40,000 or
He did say
40,000?
4,000.
I was going to say, did I hear right?
4,000. Give me a heart attack, man.
Any questions? The Chief.
Move to approve the request.
Thank you, Commissioner Schaefer.
Second.
Commissioner Baum. Any questions or discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Baum?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yeah.
Commissioner P?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Larry. We got general fund budget transfer for the election commission.
And this is to provide funding for election worker training and requesting $1,670 from part-time personnel to election workers.
All within their budget.
Yes. Motion approved.
Thank you, Commissioner Allen.
Second.
Commissioner Ely. Any questions or discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Baum?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yeah.
Commissioner P?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes. Got a general fund budget transfer for county mayor.
This is $350 for the longevity coming out of employee insurance. Motion approved.
Thank you, Commissioner Allen.
Second.
Commissioner Ely. Call the roll.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Baum?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yeah.
Commissioner P?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes. We got a general fund budget amendment for autopsies.
And this will be the second time that we've amended this. We thought we had enough in there for 2 months, but we've got a $39,000 bill for the month of May, so we are requesting $35,000 to be put in for 1 more month. And this is coming from unassigned fund balance.
Has the cost per autopsy gone up, or are we just doing more of them?
We hadn't gone up that much.
I think it's,
That was 21 autopsies, I believe it was.
Is it that high? I thought it was a little.
It's about $1,600 or $1,700 per autopsy, but it hasn't gone up more than $100 this year compared to last, I think.
But we just gave, what, 60,000 was in April, wasn't it?
Right.
It was recently, pretty nice.
So this is gonna make it almost 40%, 35% higher than what we budgeted with this one.
again, we don't know what June will be until it
Yeah.
happens. We just hopefully that there's going to be sufficient funds to pay it. There's only, what, 2 lines in this, 2 different things in this one function that
Yeah.
it doesn't take
I know, but
one to make us be overdrawn for the function. It's
Are there
another thing you
change-
don't want to do.
Are there changes in the laws that required more to be done, or
No,
nothing?
just a lot more happening, more suicides, more overdoses. Every one of those is going to have an autopsy.
It's if a judge or law enforcement requests an autopsy is the way it is, isn't it?
And yeah, well, most of it's required. They're not going to not do one if it's anything that has any suspicious, surrounding.
And that includes stuff at the city police or whatever it
Oh,
all
yeah.
kind of falls back
The
on
county-
us, and we pay.
It's state
the-
law that the county pays it.
Yeah. I don't think we have a whole lot of choice, or the wishes of the committee.
Called an unfunded mandate.
Thank you, Commissioner Ely.
Second.
Commissioner Jernigan. Call the roll.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Baum?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yeah.
Commissioner P?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
I abstain. Can't bring myself to do it.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes. Got a general fund budget transfer for the jail.
Okay, this is another one of those, let's make sure that there's sufficient funds just in case. We're requesting $25,000 from the guard salary into overtime for 3 more weeks of
Motion to approve.
Second.
Commissioner P. Commissioner Schaefer. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Bond?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yes.
Commissioner P?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes. Got a solid waste fund budget transfer for landfill.
Okay, this is a person that came in, there's only one person in this line item. The person that replaced the one that left had more experience than the one that left. So asking to move 1,100 from overtime into clerical.
Motion approved.
Thank you, Commissioner Allen. Commissioner Jernigan? Call the roll.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Bond?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yes.
Commissioner P?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes. And we've got a general purpose school fund budget amendment. That's when the fun starts. Or about amendments, I said. Plural. Mr. Sandy, how's your backup? They have a meeting tonight? Or they're all on
Zoning appeals
vacation?
for Mr. Odom, and Mr. Clardy is at a conference. So, you know, he didn't feel he could drive in from Pigeon Forge for this.
He was just on vacation. Went to the
Well,
beach
you
and now
know
he's
how
at
it
Pigeon
goes.
Forge.
It's the Tennessee School Plant Management Conference. First Amendment. They are cleanup amendments, they really are. But anyway, the first one is non-labor expenditures within major function. This is the amendment we bring to y'all, but as long as we stay out of labor, it only requires school board approval. But we bring it to y'all. The dollars are big, but we're moving between utilities in plant operations, stuff like that. It reallocates a total of $1,096,009 in non-labor, non-benefit budget lines to other budget lines within each major function. We aren't adding any new dollars. It's only 1.8% of our total for expenditures in this category, even though the dollars are big. Big changes, reallocating $230,000 in the technology budget. We do that every year. $255,000 in operation of plant. Most of that is utilities. $268,000 in the maintenance budget, and that's moving between like maintenance for equipment versus building maintenance versus general contract services. That's an annual cleanup amendment we do. And $100,000 in the transportation budget. Our Genesis contract for some of our behavior students, we had to add another bus this year because of the number of students going there. Recommended motion to amend the 2016-17 general purpose school budget for a total of $1,096,009 in non-labor and non-benefit budget lines to other budget lines within major functions as presented.
Can we ask a question about this?
Sure.
Just, you know, I don't have a problem with it. I'm just curious on the technology.
Yeah.
Is that going to be new computers that or is this?
Well,
or is it
actually, one of
people? No, it's non-labor.
The big change for us this year, or the big reason behind this amendment, a lot of it is to contract services. That ransomware, 6 weeks or so ago, that was worldwide. When we were talking to our, after that hit, we weren't hit by it, but we were talking to some of our consultants and all, and they came up with a package basically to re-engineer our network. We have 25,000 computers. We have servers at every school. We've got central office servers. Different programs run on the programs that are system-wide may run on a separate server, and it had been a long time since we had done anything like that. We had grown a lot. So that's the big change in there. That summer's the time to do it. And but as part of this package is also, we are trying to, in moving to Windows 10, to lessen our exposure. The way Windows 10 functions, we have to restructure our network or we're running out of room. I don't know if room is the right term for it, but yeah. So
I think, well, if it's no objection from the committee, we'll take the first three in one vote.
That's what the
Feel free
board
to
did.
ask questions as we go, and we'll break this Rockville High
Right.
School thing out separately.
Okay. The second one is only $46,975. It reallocates non-labor, non-benefit budget lines that do cross from one major function to another. No new dollars are added, just moving already budgeted money. Recommended motion to amend the 2016-17 general purpose school budget for a total of $46,975 in non-labor and non-benefit budget lines that do cross from one major function to another, as presented. Number 3. And this is final staff adjustments, as Lisa did, to hopefully make sure we don't go over in any budget line items. Probably most of this is an unneeded amendment, but the best I can estimate looking 3 weeks out. It reallocates $100,046 in already budgeted pay and $15,296 in related payroll benefits for a total of $115,342 to other pay and benefit lines. They're due to vacation payouts, maternity leaves, staff changes. When we do have staff changes even this late in the year, I signed off on 3 this morning. Our recommended motion is to amend the 2016-17 general purpose school budget for a total of $115,342 in already budgeted pay and benefits to other pay and benefit lines in the budget in order to cover vacation payouts, maternity leaves, and staff changes as presented.
Motion to approve the request.
Second.
Commissioner Schaefer, Commissioner Allen, any, Commissioner Pete?
On the second one, give me an example of non-labor,
Okay,
non-benefit. line
in
item.
my department, fortunately, we added a cubicle. The last 2 cubicles we've added, I've had money in the budget to do it. At Kittrell, in the old gym, as cubicle pieces got moved out there, well, I was planning on having to buy. Maintenance was able to construct a cubicle from the parts out there. So I took $14,000 I didn't spend in equipment and moved it to equipment in another area that needed more equipment. It's just minor adjustments like that. Actually, that was one of the larger ones with it totaling $46,000.
Well, I'm sure we'll follow the other ones. That one
Yeah.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah,
Thank
no,
you.
it just, the funds were available and
All right.
yeah.
Any further questions? Call roll.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Bond?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yes.
Commissioner Pete?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes. Now, the good one.
Okay, now the good one. I had trouble sleeping last night. We've had another year of strong growth in our local revenues, and our BEP growth funds look as though they will be good this year. In this amendment, it's our revenue cleanup. We would like to transfer $8,138,185 of the growth in this year's revenues, towards the BEP, to the school building program fund as part of this amendment. In July of 2016, we were able to transfer $11 million. In the previous year, a lot of that, we saved $5 million in insurance with the change. So a lot of that was the insurance last year. But the amendment does budget an additional $561,336 in revenues and the related expenditures. So our total increase in revenues is $8,699,521. The additional expenditures are $200,000 for legal fees related to special education, which is why if you cut those positions, we'll just, and I'm not saying you, but the school systems that do that, we face much more challenge in dealing with some of our special ed students. There are more resources out there, and we're spending in legal fees. This is the 3rd year in a row I think we've had substantial increases to this line item. $250,000 for additional trustees commission, $45,000 for other student services. That's one of our unfunded mandates. and other increases in expenditures that correspond to specific donations. The Jennings Jones Foundation gave money toward the Spectrum program. The Coordinated School Health program had, I think, $34,500 in additional grants for walking tracks primarily. So those are our changes in expenditures. Fortunately, as we were dealing with as we opened the bids on the 1st, fortunately we knew we'd been in good shape revenue-wise by that point. The low bid for Rockvale High School is $11,843,000 more than the approved budget for construction. And Mr. Clardy is accepting $500,000 in value engineering changes to the bid. He's got another $1.3 million on the list, but we know several of those we don't want to do. We are convinced we'll be back doing some of the big dollar ones fairly soon if we go ahead and bite the bullet now. This increase would take the construction budget to $59,901,500, and there's another $4 million for site. That's actually the total cost. Our cost per square foot is coming out at $177 per square foot, much higher than we got for Stewart's Creek High, but it is in line with what other systems are paying around us now. Some systems have crossed the $200 mark per square foot. In order to award the contract and open the school for the 2019-2020 school year, we're asking to fund this $11,843,500 by adding this new $8,138,185 transfer from the GPS revenues this year to the $3,705,315 still available from the $11 million we transferred in July. So we are, yes, it is a higher cost, but we are proposing a funding mechanism to cover it. And we are asking that y'all raise the budget by that $11,843,500 for that project. An advantage to this is shared elementary money, so we would just be kind of used internally to fund this project, and at a later date, when you went to the bond market, since it's already been shared with the city, you would borrow more elementary, and Lisa and I were talking about probably
$2 million.
Yeah.
It'd be a couple million that you don't have to borrow.
For elementary projects, we'd be borrowing more. Putting these two numbers together, about 14 million.
What, I would have the resolution that comes to you, I mean, broken apart in two different things. And that the school board sent it all in
Yeah.
one. But I think addressing the revenue needs to be one piece of this. And then the second piece is raising the project for the school, the increase of whatever the 11 million, whatever the number is.
And I was not comfortable splitting the board's motion. I agreed with Lisa when she and Mark talked to me today,
But what I would recommend is that it will be funded in a future borrowing. He is sending $8 million over. That's shared money that we will use internally to pay for the project. Then what happens is that when you're ready to do middle school or elementary school, this is the pot of money that we'll use and not have to borrow for it.
You kind of get to make a credit to some extent, on the city's share part.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Do we need to split this up from this committee going to the commission?
Yes, I think.
And that way it'd be a little neater in the way you want it to
Yeah,
read?
he had to present it to you because I think that's the way
Yeah.
it came from the school
Yeah,
board.
but
I
we
think
can
that
do what
y'all
we want
Yeah.
from here forward.
Yeah.
separate the two
Yeah.
pieces.
My heartburn is, I was kind of in my mind, this was the money was going to be used to open the school. You know, in the past, you all had
Oh,
enough
yeah.
money to open a school.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
kind of banking on you having some money banked, and this is gonna,
We
you're not,
are
are you gonna have anything banked by then? You got 2
We
years.
have,
Yeah,
well, and I can't speak for next year,
Yeah.
but in this year, we currently have $22 million in unassigned fund balance. So we're taking care of the revenue increase, but our unexpended
Appropriations.
appropriations will more than cover what we are, the near 7 million we're using to fund this budget. I have mentioned to the board and talked to Mr. Odom about bringing forward a motion after we close to commit some amount of our fund balance toward opening Rockvale High School 2 years out.
Is that 22 million counting the 8 million BEP money?
No, that's excluding this amendment completely.
Okay.
I guess I have a question about that new 8.1 million in new revenue. Is this information that we've just learned maybe since we last met last week? Or is this 8.1 million been in our binder and it's been part of the?
It's not been in our binder, but it's part of our
It's been-
year-end revenues, as Lisa's presented revenue numbers as the year has gone on, so.
I had a $6 million increase in revenue.
And we had.
It's kind of when I did it.
Yeah,
I was estimating another 6 million. So when we were using our budgeted fund balance, and then when we amended all the revenues, I dropped that in. That was my estimate, not his estimate.
and I basically went with Lisa's, except I added the BEP. And there were a couple of other minor revenues of mine that I went with additional numbers on, but yeah, it's been a number that's been floating around.
Lisa, you said something about when we go to the market, we'll borrow this money. What are we gonna borrow?
that's for a future school, that's not at this
No,
point in time,
Go to
correct?
the high school.
No,
We'll be
We're not gonna borrow
Yeah.
this money, though.
No.
No,
No, we'll make a note again to ourselves, basically.
Yeah.
And then when we go for whatever school comes along next, that's an elementary or a middle. like
then
that.
we're kind of borrowing for the rest of the high school.
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
So we can keep a credit for that couple of million
Yeah.
shared with the city.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, a couple of questions. The shared money then, is the money going to be shared at presently what it is, or are we going to get it with,
No,
we're putting
it-
12 million in it?
It comes
are we-
in, when he sends it, it's
Yeah,
shared
it's
money.
already
And so
shared.
we already know it's shared, and
Yeah.
we keep those
How
that are.
much and what?
Yeah, we
Oh,
keep,
yeah.
in each of the projects, when you pick up this report, if it's a high school, it's all high school money. The elementary's
Yeah.
all elementary money. And so when he's transferring,
Yeah.
he keeps up with,
Yeah.
Okay.
you
Yeah.
know.
And so we're not going to hear from it from the city then later
No.
on?
Mhm.
would you?
No.
Okay.
And we are very cognizant
Yes.
of this issue, so
I know it's
we
come
make
up
sure.
before, maybe Eagleville or something, I think I remember.
Eagleville is 713. So.
Yeah, but the next question is, so it's going to be roughly 15% of $12 million is what we're
It's
going
what
to
we-
have later on to...
It's what you don't have to borrow
Right, okay.
when you do an
Yeah.
elementary project.
Yeah.
And the last question, gross money.
Mhm.
Have they given any?
Actually, the email that I got on that said we probably won't get that number this year until July. They try to have the most current ADMs across the state, and I think there's some systems that have historically been late who have been protesting, well, you didn't take this last number of mine. And whereas often around the time we have our July meeting, sometimes I've gotten it during the meeting or the day after. This year we got an email saying it would probably even be July. But we got $1.3 million. I'm confident we will get that other 800 and some thousand. I think we will come in at more than 2.6, but until I see the number, because our percentage of growth year to, like eighth period last year, has slowly crept up during the year. We were right at 3, I think, in the 9th period.
One reason for the balance is, or maybe the main reason, is increased sales tax this past year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And the property
And the property
tax, I mean,
tax.
they're, just like in all our funds,
Yeah.
when he's collecting at 98%,
Yeah,
you know, and we budgeted 95.5.
Yeah.
okay.
So that's,
So 1920 was already going to be the testy year from paying our debt from what we've seen. And so how's this going to affect us come 1920? Because that's when you're looking for.
2020.
Yeah.
yeah.
1920
The 1920 school year. The 1920 school year.
Fiscal year.
Okay.
Okay, that's what I mean, yeah.
Well, I mean,
I'm in the
I
right
guess when I look
century.
at that, what I gave you is borrowing, I think, 90 million in the next 3 years. So, you know, I would just say I have no idea. The bottom line, because are they going to borrow it at that much? Or, as Commissioner Jordan said, has this set a bar? Are all our schools going to be higher?
Yeah,
You know, from this point forward?
They found the
So
funding
maybe
source.
it's not 90 million every year?
We keep growing.
They found a funding source for this $12 million,
Yeah.
but the problem is, unless this is an anomaly, the next school is
Yeah.
going to be 15 to 20% higher than
Yeah.
we thought it was going to be. So instead of spending, you know,
Well-
X number of dollars, 100 million over the next so many years, we're going to spend 150 or 20.
We can also go back though, and okay, what was the last middle school before Oakland and Whitworth Buchanan? Was it Laverne?
Laverne, Stewart Street.
Stewart-
No, it was Laverne Middle, because it came
Yeah.
right after Stewart
Yeah.
Street.
Because when we went out for bid on, and realizing where we were in the economy for Oakland and Whitworth Buchanan, excluding the site, which we have variation there, we went back to the cost per square foot we had gotten for Christiana Middle.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, if you can expect a recession. There's a
Right,
recession.
yeah, but I'm not expecting
You know?
a recession,
Yeah.
but
But I mean,
I keep thinking.
We're on a building boom right now, so it
Well, how
comes up,
long
but
will
it
the boom-
depends on how long
Yeah,
this
it
wave
depends,
rides.
totally, yeah.
But Nashville, they say, is 100 people a day, 100 people plus a day are
Yeah.
coming in there.
Yeah.
And you know,
We're part
we
of
may not
that.
get
yeah.
100 plus people a
Right,
day, but
right.
we're getting a heck of a
Oh,
lot
we are,
down there.
absolutely. Yeah.
I
Percentage
think what it
wise.
comes down to tonight for us here is, are we okay with moving on with the Rockville High School at just under $72 million instead of $59 million? You know, and we've got a lot of money already spent in engineering. We've been sitting on that site for some number of years. It's been in the plan, because if we don't move forward, I don't know where we're going. I mean, I feel kind of like we're playing in the corner here myself, but
Well, what's our option to it?
I don't know.
Build a big gym out there and put your cubicles in it? I mean,
Go back
I
after that again, it could come in 5%
Oh,
higher
it-
again.
Well, everything, you get to look around at the cranes and you see it's not going to get cheaper. I
If
thought
there's no
my
more
sug-
discussion. I'm sorry, go ahead. I was just going
I
to
was
make a
just
motion.
gonna,
if you're done.
I just gonna say, I thought my suggestion earlier was, before the meeting started, would have been the best one. But
Jeff, you read the full recommended motion? Did you get all the way through that?
And you split the two, right?
We're splitting the two.
Yeah. But-
I'll make a motion that we recognize the revenue as reported.
That's the first half. All right, we have a motion for the first half to recognize the revenue as reported.
I do have another question on this. So none of the 8.1 million in additional revenue has been recognized yet? I guess we've heard
Not
of it.
officially, not like what I brought, my revenue
Yeah.
estimates for my funds that
Yeah.
went to the full commission. These are now the school boards coming. For working at our debt, you know, kind of talking, I threw out, you know, a 6 million, an estimate, when I just reviewed it, because I'm not sure about
Yeah.
some of the school monies that he has.
Okay,
So
I
it's
just
really a
couldn't remember
couple.
if we had recognized a portion of them, or yours
No, no,
was just
no.
an estimate and it wasn't something that
Yeah.
we formally
If,
recognized.
in the years that we see growth in our local revenues, we tend to wait pretty much across the county government and do it at the end. And now if we are aware of a slowdown, yeah, we'll handle that a little differently. But,
All right, we have a motion to recognize the revenue, the first half of this, and a second, I believe. And no further questions on this part of it, we'll call the roll.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Baum?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yeah.
Commissioner Peak?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Now,
Yes.
I want to oh, I'm sorry, I jumped the gun. I was just thinking, because he did do the revenue for the cafeteria and the school building program. Those did come through.
Yeah,
Yeah, those-
yeah. We were waiting on property tax and sales tax numbers to get as close as we could.
Sorry.
Yeah.
All right, now we're down to the big part.
Well, I'll make a motion that we go ahead and approve the school because it's not going to get cheaper. We've seen that with the judicial building. And I think, unless this one's way out of whack, but the schools we've been building are cost per square foot, the lowest around the mid-state for when you compare apples and apples. We do bigger ones than this, so, I mean, I don't see how we're going to find it any less expensive.
Thank you, Commissioner Schaefer.
Second.
Mr. Allen. Any further questions or discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Baum?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yes.
Commissioner Peak?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes. And I don't think this actual item will be on the consent agenda.
Oh, give it a try.
Yeah.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And I know it's, for us, it's a big
Well,
change to accept. We're grateful that we had some internal funding that we could use.
I remember back, we had 39 million we were planning on approving, and we did approve it.
Yeah.
For Laverne Middle,
Yeah.
Stewart's Creek Elementary, and Stewart's Creek Middle. And it came in, the elementary and Stewart's
Yeah.
Creek Middle
Yep.
were 39 million. Boy, did I ever get some flack for that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I had some real irate calling me on that. Yeah.
Even though it's only delayed a year on that one.
Right. And that was the last time we have bought portables. We have been able to move them around, but with not getting that third school, we had to put more in Laverne. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sanders. We've got 2017-18 Smyrna Rutherford County Airport Authority budget.
This is one that we found a couple of years ago that it really needed to come through the committees.
You got
That's it.
any
I
explanation?
don't have
on
any
it?
My recollection is they're all self-sufficient. We're approving their budget but not contributing to it.
Not until we have to. They're budgeting $105,000 profit, so.
I'll make a motion to approve your.
Thank you, Commissioner Allen.
So.
Commissioner Jernigan. Call the roll.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Baum?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yes.
Commissioner Peak?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes. We've got the 2017-18 budget final review.
I have no changes.
I think it's blank right here.
And blank.
All right.
I don't have any
So we-
changes and I
since you're-
don't have anything to give you.
So short of any changes, do we need a motion at this time?
No,
Should
you already
go ahead.
moved. It's now we're ready for tax levy resolution and appropriation resolution.
If anybody wants to make any changes to the budget before we move on to tax levy, now's your time. Okay, we'll move on to 2017-18 tax levy resolution.
Okay, the rate's the same. Just we're shifting 1 penny from schools to debt service. The rest of it explains how the various revenues are split amongst the funds.
How much the wheel tax
Wheel
do we
tax.
get a year roughly?
11 million.
Yeah, lots of people are moving in and buying more cars too, right?
So, wheel tax, you brought that up, 30% goes to the general fund, 30% to the highway fund, and 40% for education. But anyway, that's section 2 through 7 explains how the various revenues, local revenues are split. A lot of them are to the penny, how the penny is split, is how we split property tax related revenues and business tax is split that way as well.
Does show.
What are the wishes of the committee? Is everybody
Well,
ready?
we don't have a tax increase this year. I think we've done a good job being able to do that, especially with some of these late numbers we've been getting hammered with. So I'll make a motion to accept this recommendation.
We have a motion to approve the tax levy.
Second.
Commissioner Petty and Commissioner Allen. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Baum?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yes.
Commissioner Peak?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes. We've got 2017 appropriation resolution. Now we get to spend it all.
And these numbers are the details that you've approved every individual function within the funds.
The conglomeration of our last 10 weeks' work, something like that.
And this is the same as the copy we got our last meeting on the 14th, right? When we got these sheets.
Yes, this matchup with those last adjustments in there. Yes, it matches up to that. And then, later on is all the various nonprofits are listed. But this is pretty much the same format layout of our appropriation resolutions as you usually approve.
What are the wishes of the committee?
Motion approved.
Thank you, Commissioner Jernigan.
Second.
Commissioner Allen. You got a comment, Commissioner Schaefer? I think
No.
you- all right.
Just a big sigh.
Call the roll.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Baum?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yes.
Commissioner Peak?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes. We got a $10 million interfund capital outlay
Yeah,
note.
I want to, before we move all of this, before y'all move your things, I just wanted to kind of come back, and I can't remember which commissioner asked about crossing categories and stuff. This is the resolution. This is the resolution you approve. If any of our amendments change any of these numbers, that's why it has to go to the full commission, because the full commission adopted this way. If we're just moving money within and we're not changing this number, that's why it stops here. So when he was crossing categories, it changed that individual number, which is why it had to, has to come out. And why they work so hard to try to keep, I think Mark has got it labeled, when it's a transfer, when he labels something as a transfer, it's within, but if it's an amendment, when it crosses. Okay. That was more for the public than this table.
Now we've got $10 million interfund capital outlay note.
And this is, actually had asked to get this started prior to speaking with Jeff that he was going to be sending money. I still want to request to approve this, and this is just providing some cash and cash flow, moving money from the debt service fund into the capital projects fund, and then when we borrow, we put it back. And it's just, it delays when we have to borrow.
Well, we don't need but about 6 million more with what he's given us to cover what you were talking about earlier.
No, this is, well,
This is just a preliminary loan startup money until we go to
yes.
bond
But now he's
market.
got 8 when you, but I didn't bring, oh yeah, I did.
Yeah, if he's going to transfer his money immediately, you can use that.
I
for
could
this.
use that. I could use that too, but that's why I said I think I'm gonna go ahead and get the permission. I may not pull the trigger. Because once this is done and y'all approve it, then it has to go to the state of Tennessee, and it goes through their process. It's a process to get it done. But you've approved projects along the way that we have not borrowed for, and other than the high school. We've got the David Urey addition, Smyrna Middle, Oakland Middle. Those are projects that you've all approved that we haven't borrowed for, that I've been using that money that he's that 3 million that he said is there, we've been using that for these projects. That money that he's going to go ahead and send, that would help too. But, I mean, if you don't want to do it, that's fine, but it just,
Well, it's just money that's sitting in one account, move this until the
Right.
bond proceeds come in.
and that's all
anyway,
it's
so
for.
Not any additional, you
I would
couldn't use
not
it for anything
use it,
else
no.
without commission
No.
approval.
And I would not do this, I would not move the money unless it was like, okay, for whatever reason, maybe it's not September that we borrow, maybe it's November that we borrow. You see what I'm saying? It's like, okay, so we'll just run on this cash and we might wait till February to borrow. Then we have no additional principal and interest payments this way. And you see what I'm saying? Those things that I do, it kind of delays that borrowing a little bit.
But you're talking about raising a Federal Reserve rate, what, 1/4% every 3 months or something for the
Well,
next
yeah.
year?
The
That's what
projections are
happens.
moving around on that from what I've been
Yeah.
reading. The one day they're gonna do it is one day they're not. And so,
But these approved construction projects have to pay those pay requests every month, so you'll use up quite a bit of money over a period of time if you've got 3 or 4 of these projects in
of course,
process.
you'll work with our bond advisors on when to go to market and everything else
yes.
a lot. And
Yeah.
they could say, pull the trigger ASAP, or they could say,
Well,
let's
here's
stretch
the
this
other
out.
thing.
So
What we
this
have
will
not-
give you the flexibility.
What we have not done yet, you know, you've approved these projects along the way to be done in a future bond. What we've not brought forward yet is the formal resolution that says, all right, here's all this and here's $90 million that we're going to borrow. That's yet to come. And that's when you know we're getting ready to go.
But still, that date could change according to their advice.
Mhm.
Anyway,
I understand the need for this. I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
thank you, Commissioner Allen. Second. Commissioner Jernigan. Further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Bob?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan? Here. Commissioner Peace?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Commissioner Drew?
Yes. Any other business to come for us tonight?
No, no.
Franklin Barbecue, Friday night at Grove. Anybody out there that have anything to do Friday night? The 23rd, I believe, was it? Be there or be square.
Tuesday, 9 o'clock.
Was that next week?
It's next week. It is next week.
Really? I think that does-
27.
That's my father right there.
Our next meeting is full commission meeting next Tuesday at 9 o'clock. Nothing else to come for us tonight. We are adjourned.